The Australian outback, home to one of the most beloved reptiles, the bearded dragon. But there's a problem. We are nowhere near Australia. I live on the complete opposite side of the world. Luckily, he doesn't realize it yet. And to keep him from figuring that out, we need to build him a tank that mimics his natural habitat. This tank should be built from scratch, include a 3D background, include real plants, and of course, it should all be bioactive. You could, of course, buy something, but I decided to make one myself. This process is relatively straightforward. All you need to do is construct a box. But I decided to make a fancy box, and by that I mean that I included side ventilation and hid all the screws. If you want to learn more about building your own terrariums, I'll include a link in the description. If we truly want to trick Disco into believing he's in the wild, an empty tank isn't gonna cut it. Oh, by the way, his name is Disco. Anyway, we'll need to build a 3D background. So let's add some authentic Australian XPS foam. This foam will help me create the rough shape I want. Bearded dragons are semi-arboreal, aka lizard brain wants to act like a monkey sometimes. So to make him happy, I'm adding in a couple of climbing opportunities. And while making these tanks, I kinda have an idea of what I want, but I also like to not think about it too much and just make stuff up as I go. For instance, in this tank, the right side was all planned out, since this is where I want the basking spot to be, but the left side I completely made up as I went. Next, I'm covering all the foam in a layer of Buddy Road's vertical concrete mix. Now here comes the magic. I want the background to have this sort of stacked slate look, just like on this piece of rock. So I'll just grab the rock and press it into the concrete to copy the texture. Then I'll do it again and keep repeating it a couple hundred more times until we got ourselves a nice looking background. Anyway, then I used the clay carving tool to deepen some of the cracks and break up the background a bit. This is one of those parts I didn't plan out at all and I'm just doing whatever feels right. Don't overthink it, if it looks off you can always use the rock again. It's like Bob Ross used to say, we don't make mistakes, we just have happy accidents. Next, I mixed up the second half of the bag and began repeating the same steps on the rest of the background. You may have also noticed that there was already a bit of concrete on the tank when we started shaping the background with foam. A couple weeks ago I made a new tank for my crested gecko, and in that build I ended up making way too much concrete for that tank, so I decided to just use the leftovers in this tank already. But you may have also noticed that they switched color halfway through the video, and that has to do with glazes. The concrete is cool and all, and I do always use a pigment powder to get it in the general direction I want, but as soon as the concrete starts to dry, it starts to shift to a more grayish version of the color and look pretty flat, which isn't what I'm going for. So I like to use glazes to get the pop back into there. And I'm starting off with this yellow spray bottle. In here I mixed up a bit of red glaze with a little bit of yellow glaze and a whole lot of water, and this diluted color mix will help me set the base tone over the entire background. After I'm done with the spray bottle, I'm using various browns and red and a little bit of yellow on different spots throughout the background. I think it is a good idea to not use the same color over the entire background, as rocks are rarely one singular color. And once I got all the base colors in place, I'm going over the entire background with a heavily diluted black. I sprayed this on nice and thick so it would start running down the background. This will make the glaze settle in cracks and crevices throughout the background, giving the whole thing a lot more contrast. It's starting to look cool, but I want to improve the highlights. So I'm going over the entire background with a wire brush drill bit to scuff it up a bit. However, this is the point I realized Bob Ross was lying. There are definitely things you can call a mistake, and this was one of them. Well, actually there's two mistakes here. One, the wire brush did get out of control very briefly and I ended up tearing one of the screens on the side of the tank. And two, I did not record it. Anyway, I could repair it relatively easy, it's just a bit ugly but it does work. And after mending the hole I just got back to scuffing up the background. The tank is starting to take shape, I'm loving the background but I'm not loving this part. The bottom, it's ugly, it's not convincing, nobody's gonna believe this is Australia. So, to fix it, let's add some substrate. For this one I'm mixing up play sand with cocoa fiber, topsoil and Exoterra stone desert. I'm mixing it up in 2 batches and all of it will be mixed within the tank itself. The mix I'm using here should work fine without a drainage layer, and due to the stone desert mix in there, it should also hold burrows really well if Disco decides to dig. I'm saying shoot because I haven't tested any of this yet and I got all my information from other videos, so we'll have to do an update in a year or so to see whether or not it actually does hold up or not. Next it's time to bring it all to life with some plants. And since I still have some of the stone desert mix left over, I decided to cover all of the substrate with a top dressing of it to make it look very cool. We're close to tricking Disco. The only thing left is to add some springtails, isopods and leaf litter. At first he was very shy and hid behind his cactus. And honestly, I would be too if I was suddenly dropped in the wild. So I decided to give him some space. It's now 2 months later, and if we take a look at the tank, we can see some things have changed. Most notably these 2 cactus. They have grown so fast, way faster than I expected, but they also come with a pretty big problem. I thought I found a spineless variety, but some of these new shoots are full of spines. So they have to go. And looking at it now, I feel like I went a little bit overboard with the desert vibe in this tank. It's not that I dislike it, I just think there's more potential here. So I'm gonna replace these 2 cactus with some grass and add a little bit more leaf litter. Disco is now fully convinced he's in the wild, except of course from the moments that I feed him or when he's looking through the glass. But besides that, I think my mission was successful. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. And if you're hungry for more content, I recommend you watch this video next to see me build a bioactive jungle for my crested gecko. I'll see you there.